You're listening to the Evolvement Podcast with your boy, Nye, where cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and our financial future are the hot topics.
That is the future.
Thank you for tuning in. And now, get ready. We are going live in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, everybody? What is going on? It is your boy, Nye, and welcome to another episode of Evolvement, the podcast where we talk about crypto, Bitcoin, and the future of our financial systems.
Shout out to our first sponsors, Casper Labs. Casper Labs is building a fully decentralized blockchain infrastructure that really focuses on high performance without compromising on decentralization or resorting to off-chain settlements. CBC Casper is a proof-of-stake consensus that provides faster, safer, and more energy-efficient decentralized network consensus. As we've seen, one of the major issues with blockchain technology is most blockchains on the market today are not scalable. Without scalability, we face huge issues in terms of onboarding the next billion users into cryptocurrency. CBC Casper aims at solving this issue. If you want to learn more about Casper, head over to casperlabs.io.
Today, I have a good friend on the line with me. We're actually here in Malta recording this at the Malta Blockchain and AI Conference. I've got my buddy Michael on the line. Michael is one of the co-founders of Blabber, and Blabber is a social networking app, and we're going to get all into how social networking ties into blockchain, ties into cryptocurrency. And really the question is, of this entire podcast is, can the downfalls of blockchain can downfalls of social media be solved by blockchain and cryptocurrency? We've seen some major things over the last few years with Facebook using people's data inappropriately, giving it to advertisers, and advertisers pretty much abusing people's data to try to sell them things in a very intrusive way. So we're going to get into that all in a second here. But first, my man, Michael, how you doing, bro?
I'm really good here. Nice to meet you, Michael. It's a beautiful weather, beautiful day here at Malta. A lot of people are here, and really good to be here with you.
Glad you're here as well. Before we get into anything, can you just introduce yourself? Like, who are you? How did you get started in crypto? And how did you come forth with Blabber?
Sure. So before Blabber, I ran my web development agency for about 10 years. We served clients like BMW, Lufthansa, Porsche, and other Fortune 500 companies. And during a joint venture project, I met my co-founder, Michael Gaida, and we immediately felt that there was a really good, invaluable synergy between us. And we teamed up for a couple of web projects and finally had the idea of Blabber in 2016 of changing the way how social media and the advertising industry are working and how they deal with personal data.
So what is the main thing that you guys have observed or seen in terms of how advertisers are using data, how social medias are currently using data? Like, what's the main issue? What's the main problem with that right now?
The thing is that those enterprises collect personal data and use them to ultimately monetize them for the benefits of the advertising industry, and the user has no remuneration of the usage of his obviously own data, what he owns, what he produces on the social network through going through likes, through writing posts, liking comments and stuff like that. So even if you write a post that, on example for Facebook, you are going to an Italian restaurant and you like that pizza, so this is a personal information that you like pizza, and this data is used in these search networks for advertising, for retargeting, and everything else what is related to advertising. But we as a user, we do not have control over the distribution of our data, the first thing. And the second thing is that we are not remunerated for the usage of these data. So practically we have nothing in return of the benefits they gain through our data.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the main issues that we've seen is, in the beginning, we thought our data was private. I mean, at least semi-private. You know, we knew it was what we were sharing on social media is public to our friends and things like that. But a great example, like you said, is like the pizza shop. You know, if I go on social media and I say, I really like Joe's Pizza. It was like a really good slice of pizza that I had in New York. It was awesome. And then all of a sudden, I start seeing ad placements for Peter's Pizza or all these other pizza places in my news feed on Instagram, on Facebook. Then I go to Google and I start seeing ad placements for pizza shops. It's intrusive, and where in the very beginning, at least for me in the very beginning, when I was younger, like 15, 16, and I just started Facebook, I didn't realize that that data was going to be utilized in any sort of way. And I think that's kind of interesting. I think it's like how technology is evolving as we've gotten to the place now where the world's pretty integrated with technology. They're pretty integrated with social media, and especially like the community growth and the conversations on social media. Everybody's into it, whether you're into Facebook, Twitter, Blabber, whatever you're into. People like that. But what we're starting to see now is that data that we've been sharing is actually being utilized for companies to make a lot of money, and that we've become the product of these social networks.
Exactly. That is the problem. So we, as the users, we produce those data. And if you think back about 10 years in the beginning times of Facebook, when they just were a platform for people on the university to connect with each other and to check their status, what they're doing, what they've done before, etc. And this whole thing evolved in the last couple of years to such a big collection of data, which is sold to multiple companies for any thinkable use case. And it is the thing that Facebook almost knows everything about us. If you use Facebook since the last 10 years, they know with who you were in the holidays the last 3 years, what's your dog name, when you bought your new cat, and you divorced or something like that. So, and this is all data which is used to train their models, to train the AI models they do for advertising. The thing is, what you mentioned with the retargeting, like when you just said you like that Joe's Pizza piece was really good, you get an advertising on when you go to Zalando, or when you browse Instagram, you get pizza ads. Maybe you get also cross product marketing campaigns like for pizza bread or salad. So what fits together, all based on your personal data. But the thing is, criticism for this questionable business model is increasingly vocal worldwide, as users are more annoying than pleased when ads interrupt their intended activities on smartphones and other communication devices. So in addition, targeting and retargeting of users on websites generates more unwanted activity in an ever-escalating process at the moment. And users are forced to accept that structure of legacy social networks that often allow little flexibility to adapt users' particular requirements.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big problem. And one of the things you said in there that really strikes me is like the intrusive nature of it, right? Right now, you go on Facebook or you go on Instagram or whatever. You're scrolling through your feed, looking for your friends' content, looking for the people who you follow, looking at their content. Then all of a sudden, an advertisement pops up, And I personally, I think I've clicked on a few Instagram ads because they're actually relevant to what I want, but they're maybe not even relevant. They just kind of interest me in terms of the things that I've been looking at. But most of them I just skip through, especially YouTube. YouTube's the worst for me. YouTube, like I want to listen to a song or watch a music video, and that little 5-second, it's like a 30-second ad that comes up and I can skip it after 5 seconds. Like I skip it every single time. There's not like one time where I like really sit down and watch a full advertisement or even click on the advertisement.
That's why ad blocks are so popular for YouTube also, because it's really it's interruptive, like what they're doing with the ads. You can play an ad before the song, after the song, or even think about other possibilities of showing these ads to users, which are less annoying than just interrupting in the middle of of a movie or music clip. So just imagine you're in the cinema, you're watching a movie, and in the halftime of the movie, the lights are going on, saying, now we're making advertisements, everybody listen to, we're closing the screen now, everybody comes here in from the side, this is that product, you can buy it here. In 10 minutes, we start again with the second half of the movie, so nobody does that. But it's actually how it happens on YouTube. And the thing is that users do not have a choice of changing that. And they're trying to go ways, like companies trying to go ways to build ad blocks to just change that behavior. But I think it's not. It is a good way, but I think that the company should think about more how they track users and what the user experience is for the single user. And the problem is that these platforms are so big that if a couple of users are claiming about the usability, so they just don't have to listen to it because people are using it because there is nothing else at the moment.
Yeah, and they're using it to spike complaints, even if there was a complaint. And I think even the main problem is, how else are these social medias supposed to monetize? You know what I mean? If you look at the monetization proposition for a social media channel, it's usually or at least in the past, it's been, you either place advertisements in people's news feeds for what they want, and that's why ads have gotten so intrusive, is because it makes more sense to do targeted ads with demographic information than it makes sense to just do random ads, to just a large group of people that may or may not be interested in it. That's why it's become so important for Facebook to collect all this information and share it with advertisers, because without that, then their advertisement model is broken. People want to advertise on Facebook specifically for that reason. And then the other potential monetization plan or outline is charging users to use the platform. But I'm not going to pay for Facebook. I'm not going to pay for Twitter. Maybe I would, because I use it so much and it's a means for me to reach people. But if I'm trying to reach people, will all those people that I'm trying to reach pay for social media, pay $1, $5 a month, whatever they would want to charge? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. At least we would lose probably a decent percentage, if not a majority of users on social media. So I think that's the problem right now, is there hasn't been a clear solution to how social media giants can properly monetize in a way that also keeps the user experience clean, as well as keeps their data clean. I think it's a big problem.
Yeah. Facebook is currently working on that. So Facebook is, it's not a secret. Facebook is working on something related to blockchain, some adoptions to their actual infrastructure they have. And they do plan, regarding to a news article, to pay people for viewing ads and enable advertisers to pay in crypto for placing ads. So this is exactly that same model we are doing at our company. And I guess they see that the current model they using since a couple of years, that this model is broken and it works not anymore. And this signal that Facebook is heading to a direction to solve this problem with crypto and with blockchain is a clear signal that something must be changed in this business.
Agreed. 100% agreed. So Facebook's looking at it from the perspective of being able to pay their users cryptocurrency for viewing advertisements, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, Facebook will probably still be utilizing that user's data, arguably with or without their permission, to target the specific ads towards them. So it's not like anything has changed. It's just it's changed that the product is still you, but you're at least getting a little bit of a cut and a little bit of a payment for viewing those ads.
I guess it's just a good strategy to bring in their own coin.
Mm-hmm.
So the coin needs to live in an ecosystem where it has a value and it is usable. And to just bring up a coin where people can send money from Facebook Messenger to WhatsApp to Instagram to Facebook, I think it's just too less for that, what they're doing for their sites. So they need ways to place their ad and their functionality in other kinds of services, like enabling advertisers to pay with that coin and to reward users for viewing ads and stuff like that. But if you imagine that Facebook is running for 3 billion users and they bring their own coin, we have really to think about that, what that means for Facebook, for users, also for Instagram users and WhatsApp users, if they connect those systems together with a coin that is system independent, and they're still not changing the model of how they aggregate the data from users and how they thread it.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see how they do it. In your opinion, how do you see blockchain and cryptocurrency getting integrated with social media in the future? You guys are building a social media app that has already integrated cryptocurrency, or you are integrating cryptocurrency with your social media platform. How do you envision the future of this to look like?
Yeah. So using cryptocurrency or blockchain technology within a social media has rewarding users has a great potential and a great user engagement, because it's transparent, it's secure. Everybody can see, okay, I received that coins on that time for that action. Nothing can be faked. Nothing can be just made by the parties who just run the platform. So it has a real benefit of transparency and security, and I guess rewarding for certain kind of activities is a good vehicle in a social network. So compared to for example, to a supermarket, you have a card and you go in there. So, and from the European card, it's called payback. And if you go to a shop and you buy a bread and you buy sausage and stuff like that, so you did an activity in the supermarket and you get points on a card. On the checkout, you just swipe the card and you get 10 points for buying that stuff. And the next time when you come back, you can just use that collected rewards to buy something new and get a discount on that. So the reward mechanism and model is a good vehicle just to drive people to be active and to also reward them for their activity in a social network. Because you have to see it like this. When I produce content on a social platform, I give value to that platform. So I give them my content, my creative art, my mind stuff I had and everything, and it contributes to the value of the platform. And I do not get rewarded for that, even on Facebook or any other social platform. And we at Lever think it is worth rewarding the user for quality content, for good content, but in a way that is valuable more also to the user. Compared now, Steemit is doing something similar to rewarding users with votes and giving them coin at the end of a period when they have their distribution. But I guess there needs to be something that even rewards users for their activity, and also with a factor so that if they're really active, they even get more. But there also needs to be a regulation in that process to ensure that not somebody is getting everything. So it needs to be equalized in a kind of way so that it's a fair and open network. So most of the reward-driven social networks we see do have distributed the power of over 90% to those who just participated in the beginning of the start of the social network, and it never changed. So the newcomers didn't have the chance to come into that level of mining or of content rewarding, because the people at the beginning already just get the whole stuff they distributed when they launched. And we do use it's called a Gini coefficient, which regulates over a smart contract that not the richest people do get the most. So it is just more regulated that it is distributed equally and not too unfair.
The thing that catches my really attention here is the similar nature between how social networks work and how the decentralization of blockchain works. Now we know that social networks are centralized entities, so take that into consideration. That's not the example I'm using here, but the example I'm using is like in the Bitcoin network, what happens is there are a large amount of contributors that actually create the network, right? So there are people that are contributing by mining or running nodes, and then there are people that are contributing by sending back and forth transactions, right? It's kind of similar in regards to social networking, and I know people are going to hate this example because how is Bitcoin can even be compared to social networks? But I'm going to say it anyway, because on a social network, um, the social network can't technically, like, it can technically run, but it technically doesn't function without without people utilizing it, right? Without people sending messages back and forth, without people posting content. Like the engine might run in the background because it's run on databases and things like that. So it's not decentralized in that format at all. But I guess what I'm getting at is the contribution nature behind it. So it's kind of interesting to see. And the thing that I'm really getting at here is that in the Bitcoin network, people are rewarded, right? Like miners are rewarded via transaction fees, via unlocking the Bitcoin that has not hit the supply yet, things like that. In social network, they aren't monetarily rewarded. And I think that's really interesting and really important. And I think I want to like highlight that in kind of the last question I have here for you is like, how do you think that, how are you guys at Blabber doing it? But also, how do you think that people will be rewarded for sharing their data or participating in social networks in the future?
We at Blabber reward users for their social activity. So for likes, commenting on posts, creating posts, but even also if you as an author receive a like, we consider that also as an activity. So basically users producing activity, their own activity or receiving activity will be rewarded through our social mining protocol, which distributes tokens on a regular basis based on your social activity.
Cool. Interesting. So let's say I have the same amount of followers I have on Blabber as I have on Twitter. Let's say I have 45,000. And people come in and they give me like 300 likes in a post. That means every single person that is liking my post is getting rewarded for liking my post, as well as I'm getting rewarded for them liking my post. Is that
Exactly.
correct? I get rewarded in tokens, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Nice. Interesting. And is this how you kind of see the future working? Like how does that tie into advertisers, I guess?
So advertisers also will have the possibility on Blabber to place ads and pay for them in our tokens. The thing is that users do have the choice at Blabber if they want to monetize their personal data for the advertising industry or not. So if they don't want to monetize it, they don't see ads, but their data will be kept private and will not be shared with our, let's call it a process, for aggregating data for the advertising industry. But if you do decide as a user that you want to share your data with the advertising industry, let's compare it to maybe compare it to a data lake we have, and your personal data is a raindrop into that lake. And if you agree to share your data will drop just into that lake, and we put that whole data stuff into our machine learning processes to generate target groups, which we will provide for the advertising industry. And for providing your personal data, you will also be rewarded with our token. And there is also transparency where you can see that your data was used for that specific time range. And then when you are viewing ads on the network on Blabber, you will also be rewarded for viewing that ads. And there's also a factor or multiplicator if you contribute to that target group your personal data. Cool. That too. Yes, the thing is that what we are currently working on is how to make it even more transparent, that you can see, okay, my data was also not abused by Blabber. because to be honest, the biggest problem is that blockchain is really open and is a good thing for making a lot of things transparent. But when it comes to personal data and we store it in our backends, nobody can be sure that the data is not transferred to third parties and stuff like that. So, and this is the same problem which Facebook has. And we are currently working on a couple of different approaches on how we can solve the problem. So, for example, one solution could be to store personal data on the user's device, and he owns the data on his device. The thing can work if we just talk about likes, because we just can track the like count anonymously on our backends. But if you think about creating posts, the data needs to be on the web. So not only on the phone, because you want obviously to share your data because it's public. So the other possibility is to store that data on the blockchain, so that the user can see, okay, it is stored on the blockchain or is not stored on the blockchain. There's a clear transparency on that data. The bad thing on that one is that the data on the blockchain is public and anybody can access it and just harvest it.
Yeah.
So it would not be a solution we want to go with. Just encrypting the user's data, there are just a couple of possibilities we think about that. The user can have a shared key, and he has control over that shared key, and if he wants to share his personal data, he also shares the key with us, so that we are allowed to decrypt the data on the blockchain and use that personal data.
Interesting, man. Interesting. I like it. Well, I'm glad that we got to sit down and chat a little bit about this. As we're coming into a close here, I think that like my key takeaway is that I had a couple guests on recently to talk about like the revolution and the evolution of advertising. And I think my key takeaway from this conversation, from those conversations, is that a whole new model of advertising is kind of forming. It's kind of being created. It's going to be implemented across traditional advertising or traditional digital advertising, all the way into social media advertising and things like that. And we're all kind of feeling our way out to figure out how it's going to work and try to create that new system. So, I'm a fan of what you guys are doing. For everybody listening, I'm an advisor of Blabber. I like what they're doing. I've been using the app. And yeah, can you just share with the audience where they can download the app, where they can learn more about Blabber, your website, things like that?
Sure, you can download our app at the Apple Store for iOS or at the Play Store for Google Android. Just type in the search keyword Blabber crypto. You will find it. You can download our app via our website at blabber.mc. We welcome everybody to join our channel on Telegram. It's t.me/blabberofficial. And we also invite everybody to participate in our upcoming IEO on IDEX.pro on 21st and 22nd of June. And yeah.
Cool, man. Well, glad to have you on. Glad to chat a little bit. And yeah, guys, download Blabber. Check it out.
Yeah, also have to say thank you, Michael, for your invaluable support in Blabber and for your feedback and suggestions in the design of the UX we just did together. Means a lot to us also.
Hell yeah, bro.
Thanks
awesome,
so much.
Love it. And for everybody listening, thank you guys for always tuning in. This is another episode of Evolvement, and appreciate you listening in on terms of on everything that's been going on with the podcast. I appreciate it. So we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Thank you to our second sponsor, Unification. Unification is trying to solve the issue that enterprise blockchains face. Enterprises, developers, and users require the immutable function of blockchain without being subjective to market volatility. They do so by applying work chains, independent blockchains deployed via an expansion log. To learn more, check out unification.com.
This has been the Evolvement Podcast with your boy, Nye. Thanks for tuning in. Head over to evolvement.io for updates and join us next week for an all-new episode. Peace.